Well, here we go again. I'm about to debunk this theory. I don't dislike this guy. I actually kind of like this guy. Again, just like he doesn't have any background on Lane Meyer's case, I have no background on this guy. I'm just going strictly off this video, just straight from this video. So everything I say is just my thoughts from this video. So don't hold it against me, okay?
This is just one small sample of all the different ways to get evidence admitted or excluded and all the different cases involving it. I've been doing this shit for 19 years, okay? I've won close to 90% of my cases. I just had a jury decision come back in my favor in 34 minutes flat.
Now, if he's a defense attorney, that's a wonderful stat. I mean, that is ridiculous. But if you're a prosecutor, I don't think that's even a braggable thing. I wouldn't even tell people that because, first of all, the percentage is misleading just because it's a percentage. The actual numbers would make more sense. But again, even if it is, a prosecutor has all the power, all the evidence, and all the discretion to drop a case if he wants to. A prosecutor should never lose at trial, ever. I mean, if it's questionable, drop it. You know what I'm saying? Refile later. Anything more than 100%, but 100% should be the norm. Anything less than that, like 90%, I think I'm sorry, but I think that's bad.
The cases, knowing the code, and knowing how to exclude evidence or get evidence admitted. So if you do not know that and think it's just a matter of just yelling at the judge to get your way, you're going to get your ass royally kicked.
Okay, well, he's definitely seen one of Lane's videos because the whole yelling at the judge comment. So he's not unfamiliar with him. Just wrong about why. The reason Lane yells at judges is because they don't follow the court rules. He doesn't yell to get his way. He yells because they're not following the rules that we all need to follow. But here's my thing. So he's going to say something in a minute that to me is the whole problem with a breakdown or diagnosis from a prosecutor's viewpoint, or from anybody's viewpoint who's never been the victim of one of these. But anyways, you don't have to have gone through a malicious prosecution to understand what I'm saying. But there's just, for some reason, lawyers in general can't grasp the other side of the fence kind of idea, or the inverse of their view. Like, I'll show you what I mean. Like, right? Okay, but first, I just want y'all to take notice of this because it says November 14th was when it took place or whatever. And but look, it says filed and then it's blacked out. Clerk of Superior Court. There's no stamp on it. Right? Stamps. But it also says 11/18/2024. So that's when it was filed. Right? But what exactly does filing mean? I always thought it meant when it was stamped. You know what I mean? It was filed on the day it was stamped. Right? But other than that, I figured for sure whenever they put it online, like, put it on the internet or whatever, that would be filed, right? But then how does he explain this? Because he comes back out halfway through the hearing, or like right before he announces his decision and says this.
All right, we are back on the record. Thank you, everyone, for your patience. All this paperwork is now online. 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 And I'm not the best typist, so that's why it took a little while.
Then he says, I'm not the best typist, that's why it took a little while longer. This was 11, 10, 11. November 14th. This was November 14th. Why does it say November 18th when it was filed? If he put it up online and it typed it himself, what changed? Like, why 4 days wait before it's officially filed? And if it is officially filed 4 days later, why is it not stamped? Do y'all see what I'm saying? And this is the injunction against harassment that they're using, and that the cop testified is still valid today. Right? Assuming that we agree with the fact that it was signed under coercion, right? And assuming that this is legitimate, then it would be that one. But I believe with those two things, that him signing it is questionable, and the fact that this guy has a piece of paper that said it was filed 4 days later, or a digital whatever, thing of it, I think that's pretty much enough to get to let him the fuck out of jail, right?
So here was an ex parte harassment hearing, which is before a judge. It's never before a jury. Now, first thing, Lane, you're present, and she's got all these exhibits. So rule number 1, exclude the evidence. If it's a copy of a social media post that involves your channel, then it would come in as a party admission, and there's different ways to authenticate it that way. And every exhibit is admitted into evidence. What about yours? Well, you came in with exhibit A USB drive, which means it was identified, but it was not admitted into evidence. So the judge looking at this says, okay, I got 14 exhibits and I'm now weighing the case and I have no evidence from you other than what you said. You're off to a terrible start. They find that the plaintiff is credible and you are not credible. That you've caused third parties to communicate with the plaintiff by explicitly and encouraging contact. And if you call people because you don't like what they said and you're trying to antagonize them, you move from First Amendment to harassment. And none of that is protected in the First Amendment. In fact, it can be a crime, federal cyberstalking statute. Look what happened to Craig Henry. He asked his followers to pile on to some people he did not like. And that wound up getting him more time and sending him to prison.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's probably stuff about Craig Henry that that wasn't filmed, but because he had a lot of private hearings. But there is one big similarity between Henry and Lane is the fact that they wholly embarrassed the fuck out of a prosecutor on the internet live. Dude, Henry destroyed this guy. He had this dude talking about fucking people putting lasers in airplane pilots' eyes as a defense for him shining a flashlight at a cop. Like, bro, not even at a cop. Dude, anyways, I would say that other than, actually, it was probably better than the Lane Myers Eats a Prosecutor. I mean, Henry fucking made this dude look bad. And Henry's got a smart little attitude, too. Like, Lane, you can tell Lane's just like, all standing on business, you know what I mean? Henry did it dude, it was dirty, dude. He did him dirty, man.
So here was an ex parte.
Now, I don't know what his purpose is for this video. It's obviously just to, like, hate on Lane. Because if it was like if he's really just being critical of their performances or whatever, or what they've done. So he even brings it up. Like, they're both in proper person, right? So, and neither of them have a lawyer representing them or with them, right? And Lane Myers has a law degree and is a self, pronounced or whatever. But he says he has courtroom experience and has actually been in a courtroom before and has got cases dismissed and whatever, and he's got federal lawsuits. So he's a litigator. He's an actual litigator, right? She's not. She has like degrees in like the two easiest things to do, sociology and psychology, right? So she doesn't have anything to do with law, you know what I mean? And yet, this is what he doesn't see. He questions and has critiques Lane's ability to get evidence in, and compares it to her 14 ones that all she got in. But how did she, with Lane being some kind of litigation experience and her having none at all, how did she get 14 of her exhibits in with no experience at all, just being a regular Joe off the street? You know what I mean? That's the logic that he should be looking into that, not critiquing what Lane did. And we know because we've seen the videos. But I mean, the judge hated fucking Lane, dude. He railroaded him every chance he got, and then kicked him out of the courtroom. And on top of that, here let's look at the judge. Let's look at some of the judge's conduct. Okay.
The proceeding due to not following the rules, and he failed to do so, violating a court order.
Let's just take September 23rd.
Sure.
The YouTube channel, that was not sent to you, right? Somebody told you about it?
He asked her a question and then answered it with a leading answer, which led her to answer that way. Isn't that practicing law from the bench?
Told me about it, and then I went and viewed it myself.
She explicitly states that she sought out the video and willingly went to go watch it herself, and that he just blows by that one. Give me a break.
So, in my mind, it's hard to see how that's directed at you.
I think Mr. Myers says in the video that he's studying his opponents and specifically shows my photo after that. And this was also right after he showed my husband's contact information as a prosecutor And
Well, he's a public official and he was the prosecutor on Lane's case, so there would be nothing wrong with doing that. How is she using this as something for her injunction? And on top of that, she is super, I don't want to say, she's a liar too. I mean, she's a liar. Like, here, look, check it out.
more emotional distress than I can really mention here. I feel harassed, I feel threatened, I feel frightened. I couldn't put my children in this injunction against harassment because I knew exactly what Mr. Myers would do.
First of all, none of us even knew she had children until she said that. But she says, I couldn't even put my children in the injunction for harassment because I knew exactly what Mr. Myers would do. Okay.
May I assume these are your children?
They are.
Okay. And what reason do you believe that they need to be placed on here?
So one of, again, through his videos, one of the things that Mr. Myers has done in the past is he has impersonated others.
Lie.
And so my concern, because it does not seem like there's any sort of line here, is if he were to discover, obviously, I'm sure he will from this, but that we have children.
She knows that he doesn't know that she has kids. None of us did until we heard this. So, I mean, she's aware of that. She's aware that this is going to be the reason that they find out about her kids.
I'm concerned he will call their school. I'm concerned that I'm just not sure what he would do.
Okay.
And so I think I couldn't put my children in this injunction against harassment because I knew exactly what Mr. Myers would do. I'm just not sure what he would do.
Okay.
And so I couldn't put my children in this injunction against harassment because I knew exactly what Mr. Myers would do. I'm just not sure what he would do.
Okay.
I couldn't put my children in this injunction against harassment because I knew exactly what Mr. Myers would do.
Yeah, bitch, and you don't seem to have any morals. Anyhow, it's even worse. It's even worse than that because, like she said, I don't know what he would do. I know exactly what he would do. But before that, she says, I couldn't put my kids in this injunction. Number one, announcing to the world that she does have kids. And number two, that's a lie as well.
Caution.
I'm going to concur with that. I'm going to go ahead and place the children on the order protection main.
I feel frightened. I couldn't put my children in the protective.
Go ahead and place the children on the order protection main.
I feel frightened. I couldn't put my children in the protective.
Go ahead and place the children on the order protection main.
I feel frightened. I couldn't put my children in the protective.
Based on the statements that you have placed up in your allegation.
On the statement she placed up in her allegation. Bitch, you are fucking crooked. All of you motherfuckers. They may be well-behaved liars, okay, but again, Lane destroys all their logic because both of them repeated what they thought was the standard and the law and whatever, and it's not. Like, listen to this. Oh, and he didn't yell or scream at the judge, and he cussed one time, by the way, and he was very well-behaved this whole hearing. Probably the best one I've ever seen.
That falls under 132916 electronic harassment, and also in the injunction for harassment statute 12-1809 subsection E, it literally says the court shall review the petition on file and any evidence offered by the plaintiff, including evidence harassment by.
Could you just slow down a little bit? I'm trying to listen to you, but you're going off.
My bad. I would get worried that you're going to cut me off. I'm sorry. The court. This is. I'm reading a section of the injunction for harassment in and of itself statute 12-1809. You know, it lists them, and then what is considered an act for harassment for the purpose of this section. For the purposes of an injunction for harassment, the law is written a little different. The harassment you stated is not the legal definition for under for an injunction for harassment. The purposes of an injunction for harassment, 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 the purposes the technical, the law is written a little different. The harassment you stated is not the legal definition for an injunction for says, the court shall review the petition on file and any evidence offered by the plaintiff, including evidence harassment by.
Could you just slow down a little bit? I'm trying to listen to you, but you're going off.
Earlier, the judge said he didn't feel the need to look at the evidence, and then Lane read him the thing where it says the judge should review all the plaintiff's evidence, and then he cut him off in the middle of that. Give me a break.
Could you just slow down a little bit? I'm trying to listen to you, but you're going off.
My bad. I would get worried that you're going to cut me off. I'm sorry. The court. This is. I'm reading a section of the Injunction for Harassment in and of itself statute, 12-1809. It lists them, and then what is considered an act for harassment for the purpose of this section. For the purposes of an injunction for harassment, the technical, the law is written a little different. The harassment you stated is not the legal definition for an injunction for harassment. 12-1809 E says if any evidence of electronic harassment needs to be reviewed, and then that falls under the electronic statute 1329-16, use of an electronic communication to terrify, intimidate, threaten, or harass, unlawful use of electronic device, and that covers social media. That law is newer because social media is a newer thing than the harassment law. The Arizona State Legislature recently made 1329-16, and it says it covers use of electronic, because we can all admit the first and initial 912 was a voicemail on an electronic machine, from my electronic machine to her electronic machine. And that's very clear in here that under 1329-16 C, this section does not apply to constitutionally protected speech or activity, or to any other activity authorized by law. And when I'm saying that this is First Amendment protected activity, because like you said, she made no statements about me giving her the videos or sending them and saying, look at this, or any of that, or okay. I said, here's her contact info if you want to redress your grievances with this public official. I didn't say call her and tell her about my case with her husband. I said, if you don't feel there's more to, I do think she had something to do with my wife getting fired as a law clerk across the street, but that's a different thing. And so that's more defamation, but we're not. So electronic does not apply to constitutionally protected speech. Also, this alleged electronic harassment took place at her workplace, the University of Arizona. That would fall under workplace harassment, and workplace harassment 12-1810, injunction against workplace harassment, section M. This section does not, M2, permit a court to issue an injunction that prohibits speech or other activities that are constitutionally protected or otherwise protected by law, including actions involving labor disputes, all that. That doesn't really apply to me, but okay. And so, I wasn't residential picketing. That's just I'm just saying what applies to me.
Anyways, I mean, y'all can watch the whole thing. It's just, it's hard to watch somebody get railroaded that hard. But I mean, he just squashed everything that they were thinking, dude. They're literally, he should have just, whatever. You get the idea. They're lying pieces of shit. Lane might not be he may not be the ideal icon or whatever you want to call it, role model or whatever. But he's not a liar, and he's not a cheat, and he doesn't do anything maliciously toward other people. He doesn't leave a trail of victims behind him like they're making it sound like. If anything, these fuckers are the ones that are harming people. Anyway, peace.